Sure has. The New York Knickerbockers haven't made the playoffs since the 2012-2013 season, but new head coach David Fizdale is confident their recent struggles won't prevent them from signing big names a year from now. Fizz said he believes that with the right culture and a healthy Kristaps Porzingis, they'll have the bricks in place to make big moves after the upcoming season. They also have a fairly new president of basketball operations in Steve Mills as well. Max, do you believe big-time stars are going to want to play for the Knicks?
If Dolan's not there. But if Dolan's there, the atmosphere is toxic. I mean, everybody in New York knows this. It's a rotten organization because Jim Dolan is a terrible, terrible owner. He has been described to me by multiple people who've been in meetings with him as a guy who thinks he's the smartest guy in the room when he's always the dumbest. This is how it's been described to me. And if you look at the way the Knicks have been run, toxic atmosphere. And that now they've made changes recently. You can give the new regime a chance. If Dolan lays off, if he actually gives them free rein, it's fair to give them a chance. But his presence has been the one constant, and the team has been a laughing stock of sports. And the thing about it, Stephen A., as we both know, New York is more basketball crazed than any other sport. It's a basketball town. I mean, baseball, football, the Yankees, the Giants, they've had all this success. People prefer the Knicks to anybody. And the proof in the pudding is, in the mid-'80s, the Knicks were getting $1,500 a pop for courtside seats. The Giants and the Yankees were getting 1/10 that. And it's the only one of the major sports where the arena is in the middle of Manhattan. There's a basketball court on every street corner in New York City. There's not enough room to play football and baseball. Basketball everywhere. New York loves basketball, and yet the Knicks have stunk this entire time. But therein lies a huge opportunity, Stephen A., because not only have they not won a championship in my lifetime, almost 45, I'm almost 45, it's over 45 years now, no championships, but they've never had a high-flying, exciting superstar. Bernard King was a shooter, Patrick Ewing was a center, Clyde Frazier was a point guard. Who has ever been a kind of above-the-rim superstar? They get one of those guys, it's over. So right now, if Dolan is there, I am skeptical. But Stephen A., the rumors are that he may be looking to unload the Knicks. And if that's the case, then all bets are off. Kristaps Porzingis, I know he's denied it, but Kristaps Porzingis, Kyrie, Butler, whomever, that would be a new level of excitement for basketball in New York that has not existed in my lifetime.
Here's the deal, just to crystallize your point, to highlight for our national audience, our international audience, how bad things have gotten in New York. We have a situation, ladies and gentlemen, where things were so bad at one time that you had players, I know this for a fact, absolutely positively petrified to even text because they were concerned that Dolan would somehow find out about it, because that's how micromanaging the Knicks have been as a public relations department, as an entity, et cetera, et cetera. Now, things have changed. There are certain guys that are gone now. They've been replaced by a new regime. Steve Mills came into my studio with me more than a week ago, spoke personally about the changes that have been placed within the organization, while categorically denying that there's any credence to those arguments that have been made about James Dolan. Having said all of that, the New York Knicks under Steve Mills, Scott Perry, and now David Fizdale want to give you a reason to believe everything has changed. He has stated, for the record on my radio show, that the buck stops with him, that Dolan will not interfere. They showed Dolan the game plan. Dolan has signed off. He's back to doing his own business, overseeing Madison Square Garden, playing his guitar with his music. He's not going to bother them. The buck stops with Steve Mills and basketball operations. So here's what this comes down to, Max. Is Kristaps Porzingis enough to attract a marquee free agent? Here's what I'm being told. Maybe for Kyrie Irving. No one else. No one else is willing to accept the challenge unless they know definitively that Kristaps Porzingis returns healthy, which means that the key to the New York Knicks' success in 2019 is not just the development of Kevin Knox. It's just not a metamorphosis that takes place with their culture, which I believe Mark Jackson would have facilitated better than anybody. But I believe in David Fizdale, and he has my hopes and prayers. I will tell you this. The key to it all is Kristaps Porzingis, who's been in Lithuania, who obviously is rehabbing. You have got to get that man back before the season's over, and he has to show everyone that he has returned to old form before next season ends. Because once that happens, that's going to incentivize folks potentially to be willing to come to New York. Obviously, trading for Damian Lillard would help. I don't think the Knicks have enough pieces. The contracts of Tim Hardaway Jr., Courtney Lee, Emmanuel Mudiay, Frank Ntilikina, I still don't think it's enough. They don't have enough to get Damian Lillard in New York. But the bottom line is, if Porzingis comes back healthy, at least for a month or two, and shows that he's returned to his old self, combined with the development of Kevin Knox, you have a chance to attract somebody in free agency.
All right.
That's the Knicks' only hope.
Yep.
Stephen A., you mentioned it. So one player who obviously might be interested in joining New York, of course, Kyrie Irving star Chris Haynes is reporting the Knicks were one of the teams he wanted to be traded to last offseason. And according to our Ian Begley, several executives expect him to give the Knicks a chance if he does test free agency. Max, I'll ask you this. Should Kyrie want to be a Knick?
Normally, I would say no. Here's the thing about Kyrie Irving. You got to give it to him. As much as I went at him for the flat earth comment and I felt he was evasive on this show, he has proved that he will even modify his game for a team. He has shown what kind of a leader he can be and what kind of a winning ball player he can be. We already know he has the clutch gene, whatever that is. We've seen it in the finals. But Kyrie is the type of cat, it seems to me, where he would look at the Knicks and go, I'm going to win a championship in that place where no one can win a championship. Now, I don't think he does it, as Stephen A. said, unless Porzingis is healthy. Even Kyrie, Stephen A., because Porzingis has a chance to be the best player in basketball. 7'3", can shoot from the outside, can really play defense, defend the rim, guard guys one-on-one. Can put the ball on the floor for a guy 7'3". Like, he's not that much shorter than Yao Ming, and I'm saying all this about him. He has the chance to be the best guy in the business. Kyrie goes with him. The Knicks could potentially win a championship if what you say about the culture has changed, Stephen A. Because when you look at the Knicks, Steve Mills, is he a legitimate, credible basketball player? Check. Fizdale? Check. Porzingis, if healthy? Check. You add Kyrie and then another star who would sure to follow after that, it could happen. I couldn't say no.
Well, first of all, let's not underestimate Scott Perry because he has impeccable NBA credentials, particularly with his years under Joe Dumars when he was an assistant to Joe Dumars and they went to 6 straight conference finals. And Max and Molly, you will forgive me for getting a bit personal here. This has nothing to do with you two at all. But I'm getting real sick and tired of busting my tail and reporting over the airwaves something, and then whoever it is at this network acting like somebody else broke stories. Love my brother Chris Haynes. Love all of those folks that I work with. But I recall coming on First Take months ago and weeks ago talking about how Kyrie Irving wanted to be a New York Knick. So how this is breaking news, that's a different subject for another day. I'm getting sick of that. I'm going to let other people make phone calls.
I'm going to have you start
relax.
filing the reports with me, Stephen A., so we get it right for you.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, listen, I got Max Kellerman. I got a new house. I got a pool. I can relax by my pool instead of working the damn phones and depriving myself of some recreational activity. You know what I'm saying? Now, having said all of that, let's get back to this whole thing involving should Irving leave the Celtics for the Knicks. Not until he wins a championship. He helps deliver a championship to the Boston Celtics. Then he can do what he wants to do. If he wants challenges, being raised in the New Jersey area, dreaming of starring at Madison Square Garden and being the headliner marquee in the media capital of the world, you have a right to want to do that if indeed you deliver a championship. But he would be an absolute fool to walk away from this roster that Danny Ainge has built and that Brad Stevens has coached exceptionally if you come up short of a championship. The opportunity to play with Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, with Rozier backing you up, with Marcus Smart in the lineup, with Al Horford in the middle, etc., with Gordon Hayward. You haven't even played with him yet. To walk away from all of that before you have a championship to show for it, it would be the epitome of allowing ego to usurp your common sense.
Oh, Stephen A., I disagree.
He does not need to do that.
I disagree. I think it's the opposite. To walk away from that with the very real possibility that you don't win the championship this year, but that group does the following year without you, to go to a place that seems incapable of winning, that is actually taking on a challenge. And when you think about Kyrie's game and Porzingis' game, Porzingis doesn't have to post up. He doesn't have to play down low, because Kyrie, it's all about getting to the paint. Kyrie is the best under the basket finisher in the paint I think I've ever seen. He is an all-time great finisher in the paint. He can also shoot, and he has the killer instinct. He can also set up your offense.
That's not
Porzingis
the point.
doesn't need the ball.
That's not the point.
Porzingis doesn't need the ball like a lot of guys, and doesn't need to clog the middle.
That's not the point. We're not talking basketball. I'm saying finish the job first.
Yeah.
You're talking as if somebody's questioning Kyrie. I'm saying it's not about Kyrie's skills. It's about there's a job to finish first. Then you do what you want to do.
It's more gutsy. It's gutsier to lead. Let's say the Celtics don't win the championship this year. And I think
more gutsy, or is it silly? Is it silly to leave that situation? Because clearly he's not scared to leave situations. He left LeBron.
I think that the Celtics might win the championship this year. Yes, even with this Golden State, it's
so
possible. The Celtics are going to be that good.
I think it's
possible.
possible.
Let's say they don't. I think it's more likely the Warriors beat the Celtics in 6 or 7 games in the finals, okay? So now Kyrie hasn't won a championship. You mean to tell me if he leaves a team on the brink that could very well win without him the very next year, which would make him look bad, to go to a franchise like the Knicks to try to win, that's not accepting a challenge? That's totally accepting a challenge.
No. You don't get to do that. Who said anything about accepting a challenge? That's your narrative. That's not what I said. That's not the question. The point is that it's about finishing the job. Mm-hmm. You are on a squad. What I'm saying to you is I'm not questioning. Everybody knows what you're saying about Kyrie is true. What we're saying is that at the end of the day, if you're on the brink of a championship, to willingly walk away from that without a championship to show for it, just to take on a new challenge without finishing that job.
This is good, guys. But we got to go to break. But back to the earlier question. I am confident. I do think the Knicks will be able to attract an all-star from this 2019 class. I'm not saying it's Kyrie, but I do think they'll get somebody. When we come back, why Stephen A. saying Aaron Rodgers should follow in LeBron's footsteps. That's next on the special edition of First Take. Stay here. Out even taking a meeting with the Lakers. That'd be Paul George. Paul said LA had a chance to trade for him, but did not. Here's PG-13.
I 100% appreciate Laker Nation for wanting me to come back home, wanting me to play in front of them. I wanted to come here a year ago prior to going to OKC. Unfortunately, he wasn't traded to Lakers. Lakers didn't grab me. I was traded to Oklahoma. And that has been a beautiful thing for me.
Max, sounds familiar. He wanted to be there a year ago, kind of like this Kawhi situation. Does this show that the Lakers now need to trade for Kawhi based on what happened with Paul?
Yes, it does. It doesn't mean they made a mistake with Paul George, but it does indicate they should trade for Kawhi. Look, the optimal situation, and Stephen A., you just alluded to it, is you give up a package similar to the one, maybe a little lighter than the one you'd give up for Kawhi, but certainly you don't include all the first-round picks. In other words, it's the package you'd be willing to give up for Kawhi that the Spurs wouldn't take. But maybe the Trailblazers would take that for Damian Lillard. Then you have Lillard and LeBron, and then you simply sign Kawhi when he's a free agent. That's optimal. But there's an old saying on Wall Street, Stephen A., bulls and bears make money and pigs get slaughtered. In other words, if you reach always just for the optimal scenario, it could backfire. A bird in the hand. So if you have a chance to trade for Kawhi, I would not give up 3 first-round picks going to 2021. That's crazy because you could really wind up in bad shape. But in terms of everything else on the roster, I keep LeBron. You could have the rest of the roster. Give me Kawhi Leonard. Because no matter how you slice it, LeBron and Kawhi is deadly, and just those two alone, with the minimum contracts, the league minimum and mid-level exception type contracts you could fit in, you're going to challenge anyone, including the Warriors. So what this tells me is you don't want to give Kawhi a chance to change his mind. If you can grab him, you do it.
Well, just a couple of things. Before I even get into the Kawhi point, let me address what Paul George said. Paul George, lovable guy, great person, great player, needs to have a history lesson. He needs to go back and check history. If you recall, the Pacers organization asked the NBA to look into tampering violations on the part of the Los Angeles Lakers over Paul George last summer. It was found that something was unearthed. As a result, the Lakers were fined $500,000, if you recall that. It was the second largest fine, tampering fine in NBA history, behind the 2000 debacle involving Joe Smith that ultimately cost Minnesota or somebody like $3.5 million, multiple draft picks, et cetera, et cetera. So the deal for L.A. could not have happened because the Pacers had made noise about Magic Johnson. Remember that appearance on Jimmy Kimmel when he winked and alluded to some things, and it basically incited an investigation ultimately because the Pacers had complained. There was no deal that was going to be made with the Los Angeles Lakers because of those things. So it's not about L.A. not wanting Paul George. It's that the Heat elevated towards the Los Angeles Lakers because the Pacers made noise about tampering violations and beyond. And I'm not talking about just an official capacity, in an unofficial capacity prior to him being traded to OKC. Those were the issues that were going on that sort of derailed the possibility of him landing in LA at that particular moment in time. Now, let's get to the Kawhi Leonard. Do the Lakers need to amp it up a little bit? I'm not going to lie to you. I'm inclined to say no. I'm inclined to say that the Lakers don't need to pursue Kawhi Leonard at all. Damian Lillard is no Kawhi Leonard. We understand that. When you talk about Kawhi Leonard, other than LeBron James, the only two players that need to be mentioned in the same breath as Kawhi Leonard in terms of impact is Anthony Davis and Kevin Durant. Period. Having said all of that, Lillard is big time. Lillard's the big-time shot maker. And when you consider the open shots that LeBron James is capable of making, the floor spacing, the fact that Damian Lillard wouldn't be able to be double-teamed and put on lock and key like he was against New Orleans because of all of that. His skill set, because he's big-time, stands to be beneficial. And so when I look at it from that perspective, what I would say to you is, with Kawhi hell-bent on landing in L.A., if L.A. was to have LeBron James and then somehow miraculously acquired Damian Lillard, all right, and kept Kyle Kuzma, I'm sorry. If I'm sitting there and I'm the Los Angeles Lakers, I would look at Kawhi Leonard and say, in a year when you're free, you really trying to tell us you're going to leave to go to the Clippers instead of joining this crew? I would take my chances if I were the Lakers, and I would go after Damian Lillard right now.
Stephen A., I'm with you, but... see, if you change it, yes. In other words, if you're telling me that the package that it would take to get Kawhi is too heavy, that you can give up, or in other words, hey, by the way, I'll include Kuzma. I'll say you can have Ingram and Kuzma and Lonzo Ball and whoever else you want, obviously other than LeBron, and you can't have any first-round picks. But you can have anyone on the roster, all of them. Give me Kawhi. If the Spurs are saying, no, we're not going to do that. Nope. But the Portland Trail Blazers are saying, yeah, you can have Lillard for that. Then I would take my chances because Damian Lillard could be the second best player on a championship team. And with LeBron, that's what he would be. And he does a lot of stuff that Steph Curry does. You know, he can run the pick and roll, the high screens, the whole thing, and the high pick and roll. And he can shoot from a million miles away, and he has ice water in his veins. We can all see that about Damian Lillard. Even though he had a hard time in the playoffs this year, he is not scared. So, yes, if that's the deal. If it takes a lighter package to get Lillard, then I think you have to take the chance to wait on Kawhi. But what I'm saying about Kawhi is if all those pieces, I would include Kuzma, Ingram, take who you want. I like those guys. They're good pieces. But you got to bring some to get some, as the old saying goes. Then you got to get Kawhi. And the reason that you don't do it for Paul George, but you do it for Kawhi, is because Kawhi is better than Paul George. Because Kawhi is a special, in my view, historically great player. And if you have a chance to get him and put him with LeBron James, do whatever it takes.
Stephen A., if they don't get Lillard, though, can't they still wait and just based on that 2019 class get somebody outright?
Well, of course they can still wait because you have to remember they still have the cap space, not to mention the fact that Kawhi Leonard will be a free agent come next summer. I understand that. But what I'm saying is that it's almost like striking while the iron's hot, Molly. If you're sensing that you have an opportunity to get a deal done, do you walk away because your arrogance tells you he coming to us anyway? And, I don't know if you do that. All I'm saying is ultimately the question comes down to this. Who do you have a better chance of getting? And let's say it was on an equal equal playing field. My attitude would be, I'm going after Lillard because I believe that I still have a good shot at Kawhi Leonard ending up being a Laker. If he goes to the Clippers, we still not going to fear him because we're not going to worry about them building but so much around Kawhi Leonard. And not only that, he wants to be a Los Angeles Laker.
And
so
you
my
deplete
less
assets as well, obviously.
Well, I'm just saying, what Max was alluding to, and where Max and I differ, Max is willing to give up Kuzma in order to get Kawhi. I'm not willing to give up Kuzma, but it's not a talent issue with me. It's about bodies.
Yep.
So if I have a guy that is already within the Lakers system and I have a chance to hold on to him, I'm going to hold on to as many assets for dear life because one injury. What if Kawhi comes to the Lakers and this groin injury doesn't heal?
I mean, let's be honest. The Warriors just keep getting better and better, too. Yeah, go ahead.
Normally, I agree with Stephen A. That's my point of view. And my point is, with Paul George or with anyone else, I agree. Every now and then, there's a kind of player where you don't take chances. To me, Kawhi's that kind of player.
I'm with you. Best two-way player in the game.
Hold it. Wait a minute. We got health as a question mark and his attitude.
Still to come, guys. Luke Walton may have a reason to worry about his job. I will tell you why after the break. More First Take next.